A mysterious sound heard through parts of Fort Greene, Brooklyn has been driving some people, we are told, crazy.
Yeah, it's maddening, it's unsettling, and it's also just this mystery because nobody seems to know what is causing this strange humming sound. CBS 2's Kevin Rincon gives us a listen.
It's profoundly annoying.
As you hear the noise, it's hard to make out what it is.
It sounds very much like a resonance, a harmonic resonance, like if you can picture someone rubbing the top of a crystal glass or a tuning fork.
What does it sound?
Mo Hussein, he took video walking home one night. He's noticed the sound for over a year.
I liken it to like some sort of alien invasion. As you're walking around, even in the middle of the night, you hear this hum off in the background and you wonder what could that be?
You know, I thought about that. And they're only landing in the middle of the night.
For Adrena Banks, her theory, it's construction related, but admits it could be anything.
It's just this consistent humming that doesn't seem to go away and goes on for hours. It's so piercing that it keeps you up.
Neighbors called 311, but when the city's Department of Environmental Protection showed up, the sound had stopped. We reached out to the DEP several times on Thursday, and they now say they plan to return to try and find the source of the nuisance. It's not just loss of sleep or an inconvenience. There are plenty of people here concerned that this could have larger psychological impacts, which is why they're hoping speaking out could help bring them some peace and quiet. In Fort Greene, Kevin Rincon, CBS 2 News.
Hope so.
It was beginning to drive me nuts, too.
Just in that short time and then living with it.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I hope there's a remedy.
They'll figure it out.
Hi, Gary Stearman. You know, back in June of 2012, I wrote an article entitled Sounds Out of Heaven, with a question mark at the end. And I wrote that article in response to a phenomenon that began to be really noticed widely back in 2011, namely strange sounds in the heavens. You've probably heard about this story yourself. For several years now, people have been hearing crashing and banging, and it sounds like two locomotives having a head-on collision right over their house. They run out in the yard, and they see nothing at all. And this has been going on literally worldwide now for several years, and people are beginning to feel kind of spooky about it. Well, here's an article by Rick Moran, and here is his response to the trumpets in the sky phenomenon. He says, and I quote, "This story made my hair stand up on the back of my neck when I first read it, and when I heard the sounds coming from the sky, noises like trumpets blaring, I became intensely curious." Well, of course. Hundreds of recordings of these, quote, trumpets in the sky have been made by ordinary people all over the world in both hemispheres. The sounds are sometimes incredibly loud, and indeed they are. And you'll get a sample in just a moment of how loud. Scientists have offered a couple of rational explanations, but so far, no theory has been proven. A mysterious noise from the sky is continuing to baffle people all over the world, writes Rick Moran, as well as giving those who hear it sleepless nights. Sounding like a trumpet or a collective from the brass section of an orchestra, a selection of videos shot from Canada to Ukraine via the US, Germany, and Belarus shows strange goings-on above us. Up there in a clear blue sky, by the way. And eerie sounds have been continually heard at all different times and locations for almost a decade, he writes. The first video posted on YouTube recorded the unusual, unearthly sounds. That was back in 2008 when a user recorded strange sounds from the sky in Homel in the city of Belarus. The same year, another anonymous user shared the ear-deafening sounds, as they were called, and insisted that they were, quote, not a hoax from a quiet neighborhood believed to be in the United States. Then there is a famous one. Kimberly Wookie from Terrace, British Columbia in Canada, first captured the alien sound in 2013. Since then, she's managed to capture several recordings of the noise, with her most recent being May 7th of this year, not so long ago. Writing on YouTube, where she posted the videos, Miss Wookie says, on the morning of August 29th, 2013, at approximately 7:30 a.m., I was awakened by these sounds. I shot out of bed, realizing it was the same sounds I'd heard before, and I ran looking for a camera to try to capture them with. And by the way, parenthetically, I would just say that that's the way people are capturing these sounds. Everybody carries a C phone, and a C phone has a movie mode. And if you just take a movie of the sky, you're also recording the sound. And that's what most of these clips are taken from. I came out into the living room to find my 7-year-old son awake and scared, and wondering what was going on. He had said the noise woke him up as well and shook his window. That's how loud they are. I managed to record 3 clips showing almost 5 minutes of these strange sounds, and after it was over, I sat down at the computer to upload the video, and after checking my Facebook, I noticed a lot of locals had heard the same sounds again, but this time it was far more widespread. And with that, let's just kind of listen to what it was that Kimberly Wookie was hearing, and then I want to comment on this phenomenon. Wow. Okay, imagine you're in your own front yard and you're looking up into basically a clear blue sky and you're hearing really the sound of trumpets. And when I say trumpet, I'm talking about a hollow instrument, which is a tube that has a mouthpiece on the end. You put your lips to it, you buzz your lips, and you force air through it. You have a vibrating column of air, and you get the typical trumpet sound. And that's what people are hearing, along with a lot of other strange sounds and noises. What has been the reaction? Well, Christians are reacting by saying, wow, is this a sign of the end times? Atheists are reacting by saying, space aliens up there in the sky, their ships are invisible, but we're hearing the sounds coming from their ships and they're about to land. Everybody's got an idea. A Russian scientist is quoted here by Mr. Moran, and he says this: in our opinion, and this would be a consortium of Russian scientists, the source of these such powerful and immense manifestations of acoustic gravity waves must be very large-scale energy processes. These processes include powerful solar flares, huge energy flows generated by them, rushing toward the Earth's surface and destabilizing the magnetosphere, ionosphere, and upper atmosphere. Thus, the effects of powerful solar flares, the impact of shock waves on the solar wind, streams of corpuscles, and bursts of electromagnetic radiation are the main causes of acoustic gravitation waves following increased solar activity. Thus, says the Russian scientist, tried to explain the trumpet sounds in the air. I have one problem with this. We have just come through and are still in a period of really low solar activity. In fact, there are a number of articles being written questioning why in the world, when we should be at an all-time sunspot high, are we having a quiet sun? That's basically very low in solar storms or solar terrestrial activity. And so here's the Russian scientist saying that X-class or M-class flares are interacting with the Earth's atmosphere and causing the trumpet sounds, when in fact solar activity is at a low. Well, I wanted to mention this today because I think people are primed the world over for the supernatural. Sci-fi is at a peak. Everywhere you go, there are at least 5 sci-fi movies playing. Aliens are everywhere. The flying saucers are everywhere. People are reporting them not in the tens, but in the hundreds now. And if you look at any UFO reporting website, you see an increasing intensity of activity in the heavens. What is this? Are we talking angels here? Are we talking people from other galaxies, like the sci-fi writers are saying? Or are we really seeing some elements of destabilization that are coming relative to the last days? Matthew 24:23, Jesus spoke these words, then if any man say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. He's talking about the latter days when people are really upset by a number of things that are going to come to pass in this period leading up to the unveiling of the Antichrist. And there will be rumors. People say, look, you know, I think Jesus is coming. Some people say he's in New York City. Some people say he's in Rome. Maybe he's in Jerusalem. I don't know. So I've seen some awfully strange things happen, and then the neighbors come over and say, you know, that's really, forget about that. These are aliens from Alpha Centauri that are coming down in their ships to save the planet. And on the speculation goes. Jesus says, if any man say unto you, lo, here's Christ, or there, believe it not, for there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. And I have read all of the foregoing to come to this point. All of these sounds in the heavens, these bizarre events that we're seeing, lights in the sky, trumpet sounds in the sky, explosions in the sky, to me are not signs of blessing, but they are signs of foreboding. They strike fear in the hearts of men. And if in fact they are supernaturally generated, and I'm leaning in that direction, I think of the words of Jesus about the time when the end is growing near. There will be rumors of all kinds of strange things. He says, behold, I've told you before, Matthew 24:25. And the next verse says, wherefore if they shall say unto you, behold, he's in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he's in the secret chambers, believe it not. He's talking about not blessing, but he's talking about a kind of a curse, a kind of a, if you will, a growing series of upheavals leading to the great and terrible day of the Lord. And I think that these sounds in the heavens, and by the way, I have heard people report on the sounds, people that actually heard what was going on, have actually said things like, that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It stopped my heart. I couldn't breathe. It was the most frightening sound I've ever heard in my life. To me, this is not a blessing. To me, this is not a foreboding of some blessed thing, but rather a foreboding of judgment. Paul says in Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. That would be the high angels in the heavens, against powers, the people who circulate through the atmosphere, the atmospheric heaven. As a matter of fact, Satan is called the prince of the power of the air. That would be the atmospheric heavens. This is where all these sounds are being heard. Principalities, powers, rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places, that is, in places of authority. I think we are seeing something, in this case, hearing something supernatural. But it is, if you will, it is not something that we as Christians should be concerned with. The world should be concerned for the judgment that is about to befall it. We, however, should look up, for our redemption draweth nigh. Next time you read a report on these strange trumpet sounds that are being heard in the air, think about all these things. And by the way, keep watching. I'm Gary Stearman. Have a great day in the Lord. Thanks for joining us on Prophecy Watchers. You can find us on the web at prophecywatchers.com, where you can sign up for our free email newsletter, or follow us at facebook.com/prophecywatchers. In the meantime, keep watching, everybody, and we'll see you soon.